What is the theme again?
Meet Dave of Delusions of Grandeur, actor, producer, and director of films like Tales of the Forgotten. He has come to assemble a team of freaks, geeks, and even worse, film nerds, to discuss films ranging from mainstream to downright crazy. There is Tammy car enthusiast and Dave's fiance, Dustin reptile expert and overall horror collector, Jake environmentalist and fine art film critic, and finally Brandon, a therapist with a love of film that can only be seen as insanity. Together under Dave's leadership, they are inside movies galore. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show.
To heal.
Alrighty. Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
I hear you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen,
Yes.
and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Inside Movies Galore. I am your host. As we are beginning a new month here, does anyone remember what the theme is?
Well, it's my month's theme. So, yes, I do remember what my month's theme is.
Oh, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
So, the theme of this month, I will do the full thing. I can't believe you haven't watched that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. And I really can't believe that that no one has watched some of these. But what is the film that we were subjected to this for this week?
Well, this time the movie is American History X, a 1998 film directed by Tony Kaye. Now, one of the things that I did for this month was the idea is like everybody here has a decent sized movie collection. And one of the biggest things that I get from people when we're talking movies and I say, nah, I haven't seen that. They look, you haven't seen that. Like, you know, it's ludicrous that somebody who has watched as many movies as I have has not seen X movie. So the idea was everybody put forward 3 or 4 suggestions, then we vote, and the one that gets the most votes from the group of, wow, I'm surprised you haven't seen that, is the one that comes up. Well, as the only one who did do this in that way,
I have my reasons.
the vote came up American History X because I had a few on there that are pretty there, like Color Purple was on there. Which other ones are on there?
I believe you put up the one that I chose. So, you know, there.
Yeah, I mean, Malcolm X was on there as well because I hadn't seen Malcolm X before. Still haven't seen it yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. There was a couple others that were just like pretty strange that I haven't seen. Oh, there it is. Downfall. My Girl.
Oh.
And then one I put up specifically because I thought the group would actually vote on it, be like, why haven't you seen that? Is the Toxic Avenger.
Oh.
But no.
So the one that you thought we would pick is the one in that list I have not seen or have no desire to see.
But it did surprise me that Dave and maybe even Forrest didn't come in to vote for that.
True.
But
Hmm.
so it ended up being American History X.
Yeah.
So one of the things I'm going to be doing, as everybody, as I have explained why, well, there's more to this explanation. But at the beginning of each one of these, I'm going to expect each and every one of you to explain why you chose your movie and why many people around you have said or would say that it's strange that you haven't seen this movie. So think about that when your pick comes up. Now, for me, there's another reason why I put American History X up there. It's Jake and I have always talked about doing a twofer of Malcolm X and American History X. And mainly because it has X at the end of both. And we thought it would be an entertaining double feature.
Yes, I'm not sure entertaining is the word I was thinking, but
as somebody who is relatively artistic in movie tastes, my movie taste varies, but artistic does fall into that lane sometimes. It is strange to not only had not seen it, I did not own it up until recently. The only one I'd owned is Malcolm X.
Did you get my copy of this when I upgraded it?
I'm guessing not, because it was not in my collection.
Huh. Okay. Maybe I'm still sitting on it.
Because I thought I had it too, but apparently it's not in my records. It's not on the shelf.
Huh.
So it went somewhere if it was here. But
Dave, did you claim it? Huh.
But yeah, any case, that's probably there. And many people have actually had that reaction when I've told them I've never seen American History X. And they say, well, you should see it. It's a very hard watch. It's a watch that is very difficult. So I'll come back and I'll talk a little bit more about what my first impression was of seeing this for the first time, which will be this time, which should be the same answer for everybody this month. But this film is about a neo-Nazi who is released from prison as a changed man, and he hopes to prevent his younger brother from following in his footsteps. So let's go down the list. Well, Jake, I know you've seen it, but
yes.
First impression.
Okay, so this was one that I vaguely remember hearing about it when it was an Oscar nominee for Edward Norton at the Oscars. I believe that year or the year before was the first time I ever watched the Oscars. And I believe, if memory serves, he lost this year to Roberto Benigni. So I remember very distinctly that moment. So I knew of the movie almost from the word go. I don't think I saw it until second or third or fourth year of college. And I'm pretty sure this was one of those movies where people were like, you haven't seen that movie? I could be wrong, but I feel like I was told that before I saw it. I did see it at an age, I think, where I was very much I think I was very much in the right mindset, you might say, when I was first introduced to this movie, to immediately go, holy shit, that movie is incredible, and it was one of my top-rated films. And I think I've seen it 2 or 3 times, but it is not an easy movie to watch. It's not one I sought out to watch again and again. And I think it has been well over a decade since the last time I saw it. And, but I always remembered it as a really, 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 really good, really well done movie The acting in it is phenomenal. As we go along, we'll talk about that, I'm sure. Not just Edward Norton, although this is an impressive performance, but down the line, the performances are spot on with almost all the characters. The movie is infamous for the behind the scenes shenanigans. And so I've always, it comes up in conversation a lot for that as well. But I feel like it was one that I'd already watched my copy. There wasn't any real need to come back to it. But recently I've been on a kick to convert my collection, and I managed to get this one on Blu-ray, which is why I said I had a free copy, and I swear I gave it to one of you guys, but if I didn't, maybe it's buried in the pile downstairs. Maybe Debbie took it. I don't know. Maybe she took it. But anyway, I had an excuse to rewatch it, and then when Brandon put it up for this month, and that excuse became a certainty, I made sure to rewatch my new copy, and I wasn't sure what I would think of it coming back to it after all this time. It is a hard watch. We were talking about when we were in the run up to going live here. We were talking about there are a couple of cringe moments, and our screenshot here is one of them. But honestly, there are a lot of moments in this movie that make me cringe. A couple of them because of physical violence. But one of the most uncomfortable things about this movie is how it lets these people be themselves on camera. Like these characters, these despicable characters are able to just be themselves on camera. And the way the movie ultimately turns out, I feel like the messaging is positive in the end. But you have to see stuff and experience stuff that you're like, I don't feel good watching this. But so it's not an entertaining film. I don't love it. I don't want to watch it frequently, but I do think it is a very, very, very well-made film that probably should be essential viewing. And I have told Brandon for years, yeah, you need to see this. And I think we did. When we came up with that pairing, I think I was under the misapprehension that you had seen Malcolm X. And I thought, because I thought we came up with it for the movie game, where we were showing each other movies that we had seen that the other hadn't.
Well, see, I had a copy of Malcolm X, but didn't have a copy of American History X, and you had a copy of American History X.
So maybe I maybe I just got that muddled in my brain, because I thought this was part of the movie game, or it was like planned to be, and it just kind of never happened. But we always did plan to pair them, which is why you forced my hand on choosing Malcolm X. But and we'll get to that next week. But I do still think that in watching it this time, it hits even harder because I feel like the movie is more relevant today than it was 20 years ago. And so I'm glad I got to see it again. What's that?
Actually, real quick, Kim, could you reiterate what you were saying to me just as a quick, so they can hear as well, about your impressions on American History X?
Yeah, hold on a second. I think we just lost power. Or no, we did. Okay, good.
I was going to say, we have a light on in here.
You know, sometimes it doesn't, not all the lights. Okay, so first time I saw it, heartbreaking film, very difficult to watch film. It's not an easy film to get through, and I will say that to the day I die. Oh Lord Jesus!
Is this your first time on this, or have you seen this?
Oh no, I saw it years ago, bro.
Okay.
She's actually a person who said that she thought it was weird. I hadn't seen it either.
Yeah. Okay, so about the only one.
So, well, Dave, Was this your first time watching American History
Te-
X?
Technically, yes. Um, Now, I remember the reaction of this movie around me, of people who had seen it. I'd seen bits and pieces of it over time, but I have never seen it in its full capacity. And I also don't own the movie. I just never came across the movie in the wild, and or even if I did, it wasn't what I was looking for at the time. So um, that being said, I'm glad that I finally have finally fully seen it. It's different seeing Cisco from Deep Space Nine in the role in this role, but I'm not surprised of Sweeney. So um, he played one of the lead people who ran the Deep Space Nine space station of Star Trek. So, um, but other than that, I mean, it was intense. I mean, it was definitely not easy to watch at moments. I mean, that the teeth grating on the curb moment, that just the sound it just grates in your brain, you know. But definitely there were some uncomfortable moments going forward. I'm kind of glad that it was that kind of a movie that showed people acting in the those roles to give it a more natural capacity actor wise, because it made it more real, you know. So it definitely had an impact to those who were watching the movie around me. I mean, I remember some groups of people watching it and saying you got to see this, and I wasn't paying attention at the time. So, but I definitely got the impression that it was an impactful movie. Um, at the time that it came out, and it definitely had some buzz. So, other than that, I don't know whether I could say I enjoyed the movie. I haven't always been an Edward Norton fan, but there are movies that he is in that I do like. And I know that Edward Norton is supposedly a tough actor to direct, from what I understand.
This movie kind of started that reputation.
At least that's the room the biggest thing down the line, which is why he if I remember correctly, he kind of became blacklisted because of that. Over time, but that being said, glad I finally saw it, and I do think that this definitely has a statement if you have not seen it. And the teacher guy, the way he stated his message, I like that. It was a statement that made each of them ponder, you know. And I'm sure we can discuss the statement in due time. But in any case, moving on.
Well, Tammy, was this your first time watching American History X?
Yes. Um, I guess I have to agree with you guys about it being like a hard watch. On some things, most definitely. Um, it's very brutal in lots of ways, not only physical, just because of content. Um, and I went through a lot of stuff growing up because I wasn't prejudiced and I didn't think certain ways like certain members of my family did. So, um, I guess in the way it's like seeing this is just like I see, I see how they thought the way, maybe how they thought the way that they did, but that didn't mean it was right for them to think the way they did. My family members, and I, in seeing this, it makes me even more glad that I did not think like them or act like them. So,
But that type of thinking definitely hit close to home, hey?
yeah, they weren't as extreme as things in here, but um, they definitely weren't nice. My mother and I, in particular, butted heads quite a bit because I wouldn't think like her. And it's like, the one day that we really butted heads, we had just moved. In the school that I went to, I was the minority at the school. And she's sitting here with her saying her crap. And I was like, well, if I go to school and I think and I act and I talk like you, I probably won't be coming home. Is that what you want?
Yeah.
So she didn't have anything to say after that, but yeah, it is a brutal movie in lots of ways, It's just, I know that things aren't as bad as this movie portrays nowadays, but there's still stuff out there.
And honestly, we don't really know what it's like in school systems right now with.
I don't think we can really comprehend what kids these days go through because it's so different culturally. I mean, you're talking like people who are born online, practically from the time that they can see and hear, they are online, they're plugged in.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's like cyberpunk.
But in some ways, that things aren't that great either. When I was in school, we didn't have metal detectors to go into school. Our school was not locked down.
Well, yeah, same here.
Well, then Columbine happened.
Well, Columbine happened around actually, what was that? The year before this?
Yeah.
And that happened when I was in high school. And it did have an impact, but it didn't have as much of an impact immediately where I was as it did in some places.
Well, I mean, when I was in school, you could walk. Anybody could walk into the school. The doors weren't locked.
Right.
Anybody could walk out of the school. Not nowadays.
Right.
All the schools, as soon as the kids are in, boom, the school's locked.
Mm-hmm.
There's metal detectors to come into the school. It's just.
Yeah.
So in some ways things are not any better than when this was going on.
Okay.
Well, thank you all for of course, joining me in this start off to the month. I guess we are starting off in a very dark place for the first 2 weeks. Because which is kind of funny because the other two choices are not dark at all, so it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I think we're going to be starting rough and ending on kind of a much lighter note.
Yes.
I can't speak on the two in the middle, but
I have only seen one film this month
really,
that has been put forward, and that is Dave's choice. That's the only one.
What was my choice again?
Jerry Maguire. Which Jake knows I hadn't seen Malcolm X, and and of course, but of course, for the most part, actually, a lot of people here have not seen at least 2 films out of the 4 out of the month.
right?
So this is a pretty. I think this is a month that needs to have these movies watched.
Yeah.
So I'm in a lot of pain right now, so I may forget things as I'm going through this. I am feeling all 47 years.
I was like that all last week.
Well,
My back is killing me, so I
And
really.
I'm not at 47 years to either. I was feeling extra.
I'm not used to physically moving about, lifting things, standing for like any point over like the 6-hour mark, like I did today.
Okay.
So I guess that's the problem. My body just does not. My body's like, you should at least prepare me if you're going to do something like that.
Right.
Give
But in
me
any case,
4-hour notice, at least.
my actual first impression of this film, it's kind of weird. I mean, it's sort of like Jake said. There's a lot of today that comes by it, because it was interesting that I'm sitting here at this time and I was watching an interview and on John Ward's channel, Dark Park Films, with Uwe Ball about their new film Citizen Vigilante, which also a very controversial film. I was listening to just the statements as to why he made the film and all that stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, there is a lot to the psychology of these feelings and how they relate, and how you could actually go from that sort of psychology to where our main character is without even realizing it. I mean, I'm not sure that Uwe Boll is going to be curb stomping anybody anytime soon.
No, Uwe Boll is a very controversial director to begin with.
Well, yeah.
I understand.
Under multiple reasons. I mean, he did also direct one of the worst films I've ever seen. God, what was that one? Blood Rain 2. Which, but it's interesting, though, because I was listening to that stuff and I was thinking to myself, this is exactly where we go with this movie. We're not at neo-Nazi territory, no, by any means, but I can see that it can lead to that easily. Then we, on top of that, had on the 4th actual people like him marching on the Capitol with white masks and flags for the 250th that came to see Trump. So, it's just interesting how times are at these times. It hasn't really improved. And this was also around the time of Rodney King, which had a lot of inspiration to this as well. And of course, it's even mentioned, and that was actually a very hot button topic. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this as it goes. But as far as I'm concerned, I was prepped for this movie like this movie was freaking Sallow Part 2. This is so disturbing, so hard to watch. You won't be able to get through it intact. And I've told this by many people. And I'm just like, how horrible is this film?
Evidently, it offended many people violently.
But I mean, the violence is very real, and I'm desensitized enough to that stuff. Yes, I did wince at the whole curb stomp scene.
Mhm.
And there was another scene I winced at too, but it wasn't bad enough to where I was going, I gotta turn it off. I gotta turn the camera off. Can't watch it anymore. Okay, Olivia.
Well, I mean, even back in the day when I saw this for the first time, the violence was enough for me to turn it off. And y'all know I'm not at your level of.
And you weren't even nearly as desensitized as you are now back then.
Right. So, yeah, but the violence still is enough to make you cringe, especially if you're not desensitized to it.
I actually think the fact that they did not show it, or they
Yeah.
just gave the sound of it,
Yeah.
I think
It's
that makes
better.
sense in a lot of ways.
I've made this argument before. Sometimes it's better to make the audience imagine what's happening.
My baby. But I would definitely think about a lot. There's a lot of things happening today that are reflected in the film, and that's where I was every time I'm looking at this stuff. Gosh, these things are being said today exactly as they were in the film.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the stuff going back to it and learning how he learned to think this way, act this way.
Mm-hmm.
And what it took to change his mind and have him turn it around.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a very interesting tale, and definitely is worth, I think, to anybody today. And one that I do feel actually sad that, as somebody who has watched so many artistic films in my time, maybe not as many as Jake, but Jake will attest that I have seen a number of artistic films.
Yeah, a few.
Many by his urging, but I have seen many of them, even without his urging at times.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say this one definitely belongs up there. And I'm surprised this has not gotten a Criterion collection.
That surprises me too.
Because there are more disturbing movies like Sallow that have gotten a Criterion collection edition. So I don't see why this should not. And, Edward Furlong and Edward Norton, boy, that's kind of funny. Two Edwards. And Beverly D'Angelo, of course, who I'm used to more for her comedies.
Right.
Excellent acting. Amazing portrayals.
Mm-hmm.
So,
the Hollywood elite just do not like Edward Norton, so it may not get a Criterion release.
Well, he has
that, but he is working steadily, and he does have his defenders. He seems to be buds with Wes Anderson,
I was
So
going to say, he's got connections.
yeah,
And Criterion has made some odd turns before.
yeah, they have.
So you never know. But any case, I guess I'll get started with this.
Mm-hmm.
I may be off on my timeline a little, so definitely any help is regarded fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think it actually starts with the whole robbery of the truck.
Yeah.
And we see these two guys breaking in. I mean, it's basically, when I saw this, I was thinking he was going to beat up on his brother, that this guy was going to be this violent Nazi dude, curb stomping his family and stuff, because that's how it was presented to me. So, admittedly, my expectation...
Not by me.
Well, not by you, no. But they were by... But you're not the only person I've talked to in movie groups.
Yeah.
And nobody has said that he's doing this stuff, but the way that they made it sound like is this dude just like doing stuff like this all the time. But once I've learned more about the characters, like the character's not really that violent overall, and it took a lot to get him to that point, which is surprising. But it's all that idea of built up anger. But these dudes robbing the thing, and I mean he's sitting there with his he's sitting there having a good time with his girl. Very, very loud good time with the girl.
Yeah.
And of course, our main, really, I guess our other protagonist,
is Edward Furlong.
I mean, Danny
Yeah.
wakes him up. I was like, oh my gosh, he's gonna slap the heck out of him for doing that. It's like, no, not that reaction at all. His reaction is, oh, so he does.
Well, at first he's like, "What the hell, dude? I'm busy," and then he's like, "There's black dudes breaking into your truck," and that he snaps into action.
He actually took it very seriously.
Yeah.
He didn't just say you're a kid, whatever.
Yeah.
And at first, you don't see the whole thing go through. So, I mean, what you see in the back here does not happen yet. It happens, but it doesn't happen yet at this point in the movie.
Right.
All you see is that he sees somebody out in the front, and he is strapped. He does have a gun. So, I mean, he does something that in California would still get him locked up. But, he takes out the guy who had the gun and then shoots the one who was robbing the car.
He probably would have been a home free in Florida or Texas, though.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, well, stand your ground definitely would have worked in that case. And the first part of the movie, I say, well, it's a little bit over, but at the same time, I can't necessarily blame him for taking such an action when it comes to some of the things there, because you learn later that those are members of the Crips gang, which could be just as deadly to that family. As far as
you also learn later, they do the movies a lot of back and forth, like flashbacks, and you eventually find out why he was so keyed up at that moment, and so his
to this final moment.
Yeah,
it wasn't something that just happened. I mean, even if this had happened probably a year prior in this character's lifetime, he probably wouldn't have reacted the exact same way he did here.
And it is one of the interesting, tricky balances that the movie does. Is you got Daniel and Derek Vineyard are like the two main brothers there, and Derek is Edward Norton's character, and both of them are portrayed as three-dimensional human beings, and you see a lot, as the movie goes on, they peel back the layers of why they're at where they are, and and it never fully apologizes for them, which is good, because if the movie had apologized fully, that would not have, But you realize more where he comes from, but the movie does start you off with this act of violence that puts him in prison to let you know straight up, whatever you learn later about him, he did kill these two dudes.
Yes. Or at least the first one from what you see, because the other one was still alive when they leave off at that point.
Yeah.
And I will say, whenever Hollywood typically portrays people like this one, the portrayal is these are soulless, evil people. And that's not necessarily the case. I think a lot of us want to make somebody the other in the mind. And that is something that is shown a lot in this film. But
they do have people that in this movie who take that role.
Yes.
To a degree, especially we could say in terms of the Nazi group, we'll eventually see the character Stacy Keach plays.
But even that character, we don't know why. We don't even know what led to him being who he was. We just know that he's a bit of a coward and he's a manipulator.
He's a very manipulative snake who is destroying these people for reasons that are not entirely clear to the audience, but
he's a totalitarian leader.
Yeah.
And then you got Ethan Supplé's character, who's just a moron.
Yeah.
But he had swallowed this crap hook, line, and sinker
because he's become
monstrous. Because yes, exactly. Yeah.
Well, we go back to Daryl, Derek.
Darren.
Yeah, to Danny, who is in the school.
Yeah.
Find out his brother is locked up, and he is being called to the principal's office. His teacher's like, "I'm giving up on him. He can't be helped." because he wrote a paper on Mein Kampf and why
For a civil rights class.
For civil rights class.
society.
And I understand what angle he took with it.
Mhm.
Because I've had to take a similar angle in a paper myself
Mhm.
in our ethics class, of all places,
Hmm.
where I actually had to write a paper, and that was the thing, was on the idea of Nietzsche and the master race, and to have to write it in the mindset of somebody who would look at it like that.
Hmm.
Which is an excellent exercise. The paper was very creepy. And I let him know, I was like, I don't think this way, by the way. But anybody who read the paper gave me a side eye. But the idea of being able to put yourself in that mindset helps you understand that mindset a little bit better.
Right.
I mean, we had tests, one psychological test, by the way, very unethical test, by the way, where we actually were testing to see if this was, because there was this whole belief is that only Germany could produce the Nazis and Nazism like that. And so they decided to do this test to see how far we would go based on just what authority tells us to do. And
something similar to the wave.
It turns out basically the whole idea of the test is a psychological test where you're on one side and you got another person on another side. And the person that's on the one side is supposed to ask questions. And every time they get it wrong, they're supposed to give an electrical shock to the person there. And that person is supposed to keep giving escalating electrical shocks to the point where the electrical shock is lethal.
Yeah. I've heard about this test.
Unbeknownst to the person that's doing the electrical shocking, the person on the other side is a paid actor. So he's supposed to act like he's being shocked. And many people in this test, almost all of them, administered the lethal shocks over time, dehumanizing the person. Showing some concern, but very little concern because they failed the test. And these are just American citizens, like just average American citizens. Now, they were never debriefed, which is, by the way, the other unethical part of the study. That's got to really screw with you to actually think that you killed some dude.
Right.
Maybe one day you're sitting back and you're reading about this study. You're like, wait a second. Those assholes.
I mean, it would be pretty awkward to see the guy die and then they pop up. Just kidding. That would be pretty awkward too. But
there is an importance to debriefing in these. I mean, that was the one where they used to throw realistic-looking dummies out in front of kids who were just learning to drive. That one they did get a debriefing on. There was the one where they take a test where they said this test determines entirely that you're gay or straight, and they did it on these campuses with these very macho like frat boy people, and they told them all that they were gay. They never never debriefed them at the end. So science is kind of screwy. But
I was gonna.
Go ahead.
I was gonna mention. I keep meaning to throw it in there. Another movie that kind of would go along with this in a way is called Redemption. I don't know if you ever seen
or
it.
Dangerous Minds or Lean on Me.
No, this one's with Jamie Foxx.
Ah.
I'm trying to remember. I don't think I know that one.
He's a gangster that's on death row.
Yeah.
And he wrote. He was trying to put a stop to the gangs, and he wrote a bunch of books and everything trying to stop gangs in America. And before he's executed, trying to turn things around, type of a thing.
Well, one of the things that we find here is that the principal is taking extra interest in Danny and tells him, I'm going to have your brother's just being released from prison today. I want you by tomorrow to write a paper on him about why he got there in the first place and about who he is.
A
And
profile on him, basically.
yeah. And not only that, but he actually calls his brother, and his brother like, yeah, I'm on board with that. I want you to do that.
So yeah, he tells Danny that we're going to be doing a class, but you're going to meet with me every day.
Yeah.
And we'll call it American History X. So, roll credits. Yeah.
Title card.
And then, and of course, we got Avery Brooks as Sweeney, the principal. And we should mention the teacher, Murray, was played by Elliot Gould. And small role, but I thought he did a really good job. I thought both of them did really good with those roles. But when we find out eventually that Murray was an ex of their mother who got run out of the family by Derek. At one point, which we'll get to later, but yeah.
Well, I mean, and one of the things we see right after that is this one kid's being bullied by these three other kids in the bathroom, as kids do. It is, there is a racial difference between them, obviously, but that's not necessarily why they're being bullied. I can tell that. I've been in school long enough to know that. But when he steps out there with the cigarette in his mouth, the way that you can look at it, it's interesting that it was 3-on-1, but they still backed down. And I think it's because just some people, if you see that, just that hate and anger in their eyes, that crazy in their eyes, so to speak, it unnerves you to the point where you don't want to deal with that. And I think that that's important to say because it leads into the ending, which I'm not going to say I liked. I actually did not like that because I feel like the ending could be taken the wrong way very badly.
I had thoughts on that too, but it also does help set up that Danny he hero worships Derek. He sees him as an idol. And in the 3 years Derek's been in prison, Danny has been going straight down that road.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, you see that, and you see him going down Venice, which I have been to Venice Beach about 10 years after this. And it's definitely a lot less like it is there, or at least it was a lot less like that when I was going down it. But a lot can happen in 10 years.
Right.
And it was just interesting to see places that I did recognize because I'd actually walked by them before.
I think this was mostly filmed on location, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there, and he sits and watches the guy play basketball, and the kid's sitting there, and he points him out to, I guess, his brother or his father or somebody, his older one. And they're kind of like making eye contact, and it looks like he just basically just brushes them off like, yeah, he ain't nothing, and move on. Which you find out later, no. But and he continues onward. Now, one of the things that he starts out when we talk about this, he starts writing the paper when he gets home, and part of that is he lets them know, like when he went to jail, he didn't want anybody to talk with him. He didn't want anybody to come see him. He said, if any of y'all do come to see me, I'm going to turn you away. But it also shows how he started, which was when his father got killed. That looked like a gang member when he was trying to put out a fire. And you could tell right then and there how angry he was. He looked like this little emo kid at that point. Daryl did.
Right.
And how he was just how heartbroken he was, which is understandable. I mean, when you respect your parent and they die that way, it really scarred you.
Right. Plus, I mean, his father was a firefighter. His father was someone that we are trained to believe is a hero of sorts, And of course, as the movie goes on, we come to find out things about his father and his relationship with his father that help explain the particular reaction he had. But
And again, even the way that he portrays the father is
Yeah.
still very different than what you would typically expect in a film about these types of feelings.
right,
I mean, you expect him to whack him a couple of times, but not even a hand upside the face.
yeah,
And that's interesting. Like I say, I do think that Hollywood likes to portray people as black and white sometimes when it comes to morally. But it's never really that way in the real world. But that's why it's good never to actually get to know your perceived enemies, because you don't want to like anything about them. You want to be able to hate them.
Mm.
And you can see a lot of that. And I want to say that's when they go pick him up from jail after that. Was that right?
Well, he had gotten out in the morning when he's hanging out at the house when Danny gets home.
I know they were showing some flashback.
They did show a picture. They did show a scene of him getting picked up. Yeah.
Because I know that they showed some of the earlier shots of him prior to Danny meeting up with Daryl again.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like Daryl had other lines of business he wanted to take care of before he really got to talk with Danny.
Derek.
Derek.
Well. Again, when I think it was right about when Danny got home that Sweeney called, and so Derek was busy talking to him because and of course also about the time that Seth shows up and just crashes into the house and makes a lot of noise, as he does apparently. And well, he gets an introduction, I gotta say.
It's interesting to see the actor's picture now after looking at him in the film.
Yeah.
Ethan Suplee, I believe it is.
Yeah. He has lost a lot of weight.
Yeah. Very different looking.
Yeah, he's definitely lost a lot of weight since Mallrats and
right. I mean, shoot, this was what, a couple of years before My Name Is Earl, like I think, couple.
98. So
yeah. So, but yeah, he's been around ever since then. But
it's interesting to see how that is. I mean, you see something like that, and I mean, he's sitting there and he doesn't have a lot of, and he's seeing this and he sees this individual doing this stuff, this nameless face, and all he sees is the race of the individual who did it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when he's meeting with, of course, the Seth comes in with the video camera. He's all happy that his bud's out of jail, and they're gonna have a party and celebrate and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I like how it's like you get in there, he's just whining about like food. Like, come on, I gotta eat.
Yeah, he sure needed that.
Yeah.
And then he scarfs down some jelly beans.
Nobody
Well,
picks up the black one.
You also see him perving on the sister Davina, and this is kind of where we first see that Davina, let's just say she is not on the same page as her brothers. And here's an interesting thing about the family. I'm sure some of y'all probably noticed the theme here, but the Vineyards seem to have an obsession with the DV initials. They've got the little sister is what was it, Allie or Annie? I can't remember her name offhand. Allie, I think is her name.
The girls
But you
definitely
got
take after their mother,
Alice.
for sure.
But the father is Dennis, the mother is Doris. And then the three elder children are Derek, Danny, and Davina.
Well, of course, the mother is played by Beverly D'Angelo.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. Who
Which
needs to quit smoking?
admit, growing up with Christmas Vacation, the first time I saw this, I was a little surprised. I was like, wow. and I don't know how I didn't put two and two together that their father is the father from Boy Meets World, because I did watch that show a lot. And I don't know how I didn't put two and two together, but that's when he shows up and you see what kind of a person he is, it's really interesting that it's the father from Boy Meets World. But
it's interesting to see how they do the differences there. It's also interesting to see how close knit the family is.
Yeah.
Despite opposing beliefs, they all care about one another.
Right. It's like, this Davina thinks the other two are just absolutely in the wrong. And they're almost more like pity her, but they're still family. They're still, yeah. And even like eventually we see the scenes that we've kind of mentioned a couple of them of what went down with Derek right before he ended up going into jail. He and their mother had a huge falling out. But when you see them together in this first scene where he's out of prison, it's almost like they're willing to just let bygones be bygones. You know what I mean? It's like,
well, she was one of the few that still visited him while he was in jail.
And he wasn't happy about that, but still.
No.
Yeah. But, yeah.
But it later did come to him as something that he needed at the end.
Yeah.
We don't always like what we need.
No. And sometimes when it comes to things that we need, sometimes we tend to ignore the things that we technically need.
And we hear about this whole party that's going to happen, and Daryl tells his brother, "Don't go to this party. Do not go to this party tonight." And he makes a point there. I thought something even bigger was going to go down to that party, to tell you the truth. It could very well have if it had gone a certain way.
Right.
But they do also mention that, of course, when he was at this point, he was taken under the wing of this man that we talked about, this kind of evil person.
Yeah.
Cameron.
Who's throwing the party.
Yes.
And I feel like, did we meet Cameron before he's mentioned or after?
Kind of, sort of, at the basketball game.
Yeah, they had that flashback to the basketball game.
Because but see, there's another one of those things where it shows you something, because you're expecting it's just going to automatically break down into a fight.
Yeah.
But it's Daryl that actually diffuses
Not
the situation.
Derek.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Derek. Yeah, Daryl, his other brother, Daryl. And
yeah. Well, this was we talked before about Seth's whininess. He's getting his ass kicked on the court, and he's whining to Cam and Derek to hey, front me. I can't beat them by myself. I need your help. And that's what Derek's like, you know what?
I basically said, I'll fight you for this amount of money. He's like, yeah, I could take you anytime. But yeah, I say he was very much like, I will. I was like, look, no, we're not going to go down like this. We ain't going to go down like in a fight. We're going to do it like this. We'll settle it on the court.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's still wrong, but it's surprising to me the way that they go about it, because you would normally expect, they're going to try and kill those people because
like dudes for the black dudes, and if we win, you're going to leave this court and never come back.
Well, Derek also says, that if you win, we'll leave.
He even says, I will. Yeah. And it would not have surprised me if they had lost that. He would have honored that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because at first I would have thought the character, well, he's probably just downright evil. He'll do something like sneaky or something like that. But he was not.
No, it was the black guys that actually did something sneaky.
Well, not at this point though. They did also leave when they lost. They lost.
No, not at this point. But the one dude did elbow him.
Yeah, he did during the game.
Well, it's almost like he was trying to instigate.
Well,
something.
the guy wanted to fight, and
Right.
it was shut down. But his partners, his teammates, are like, no. I mean, him and Seth were actually, in a way, they're two peas in the same pod. They both wanted to go. They wanted to go down, but their respective people were like, no, man.
And this is one of the things I think where it's interesting in the movie where it shows that you get different types of people who go in for this these kinds of this kind of rhetoric and these kind of viewpoints.
Mm-hmm.
Cameron, as we said, is a manipulative snake who sensed in Derek someone that he could manipulate, but he also knows Derek is very smart. Derek is very clever.
Yeah.
He is a great people person. And even though he unfortunately fell victim to these really horrible views, he had people skills, and Cameron takes that and uses it and weaponizes it to get more followers. And that's, I think, one of the scenes coming up is where we see that in action. And Seth represents the kind of people that follow those kind of people. And so does Derek's girlfriend, Stacy, for that matter. She's a follower too.
Oh, yeah.
And they're, so you definitely see the different sides of the people that can be manipulated. Some have to be finessed, and some just swallow it whole, and
that's that is an interesting point to it. I mean, and it's a weird pride they take into it, because the way that they mention them, they're talking about these different ones. Like, no, we're not the KKK. They're just a bunch of rednecks who are disorganized and don't know what they're doing. I mean,
Derek,
they're talking about that. It's kind of that weird thing, and of course it has to be a white Protestant. Can't just be white; it has to be a white Protestant.
Yeah.
It's like you really alienate yourself around.
Yeah.
Though I think a lot of them have been willing to drop the Protestant part and just keep the white part these days. But
some of them.
You don't see quite as much hatred to the Catholics as they used to.
Yeah.
And but I guess that's how it is. I mean, at one point the Irish weren't seen as white either. At one point,
Right.
Even when Derek got to prison, they were into all the preaching. As we find out.
Well, I mean, we go from that. I know that there's something in between I can't think of, but I know we go to the whole thing where they raid the store.
Yeah.
Where you get the
okay, so the raid was immediately after that big speech that Derek gave.
Yeah.
And that I definitely want to mention, because that was one. I'm listening to that whole speech and I'm like, my God, this is so fresh in my mind, because I have heard this shit.
I heard that on that interview. I was listening to
so much of what he was saying the last few years. Those are viewpoints that absolutely have not gone anywhere. They are absolutely still fresh in people's minds. And I hate to say it, because some of them resonate with most people. Some of the things he was saying resonate with people. But the way he was dressing it up and creating that other, creating the villain that needs to be. That's where it goes over from something from populism to straight up racist propaganda.
Well, I mean, so they talk about this one store in the corner,
Yeah.
which of course the white owner sold it, and now this Asian owner has taken it over.
Yeah.
And they say, well, instead of hiring the white people for wages, they hire illegal immigrants for or undocumented immigrants so that they can pay them below minimum wage. Now, if you just listen to it at that level, that's something that can resonate with a lot of people there, because they feel like their jobs are being taken by people just because somebody wants to save money and do that. But how they go about fixing it, tearing apart the store, beating people, doing all this stuff, that's where it crosses the line even worse.
Oh yeah.
And as I say, these people are not, human, and the way that they treat the people is not human.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's the dehumanization.
And it is a tough scene to watch if you look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But is it a scene that could easily come about today? Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the rhetoric is already in place. It would not take long to go from that to doing exactly that.
I was almost wondering if they were going to get in trouble for killing that one cashier because she was struggling.
She didn't die, but she
was not feeling good. I'm sure of that.
She didn't die, but she definitely was.
I mean, at least they didn't rape her, but still, it was.
I'm sure she was quite sick afterwards.
They certainly violated her in other ways.
Yeah.
Yes. She probably was very, very, very sick afterwards.
Yeah.
And there are probably still many who would watch this movie and say, well, they were justified in doing that to the store. I'd be one that there are many that would look at that scene and they would say they were justified.
Oh, yeah.
And many more than I would like to think. So
probably a lot of the people that are out there saying the things,
The thing about this whole thing, like even if you go back to the father, and then he was talking about how there was 2 black gentlemen that got hired instead of the white people that applied for the fireman job, and they only got hired because they were black. And I could understand him because of his profession, not thinking that was right, that in his profession, the people that actually knew the job should be hired. People shouldn't have been hired according to their race. They should have been hired according to their qualifications.
Yeah, that's a scene that comes later, but he does harp on one thing that a lot of people, that's a very controversial thing.
Yeah.
He harps on the fact that these white guys scored higher on the test. And there are a lot of people who will say that if you look just at test scores, that can be a very, very, very dangerous proposition for trying to choose the best person for the job.
But there's a lot of companies out there, and even nowadays especially, that they have a quota that they have to hire so many minorities. And I don't think that's right. I think whoever is the best qualified for the job should get the job.
Well,
it shouldn't matter what your skin color is, and you should not be putting this on these companies like that, because you might have people in these companies that are not qualified to do this job because you were forced to hire.
Well, and again, it's a lot of it comes down to this, and the word DEI is one that, those letters have been villainized by a lot. One particular prominent individual, which I will not name, even it said, if a pilot of a plane is of a certain race, I will assume that they are terrible at it because obviously they could not have gotten the job if they were not of that race because of DEI. But the idea of DEI, a lot of people don't understand it, is it's not quite the same as affirmative action. The idea is if you have two people who are the exact same in qualifications, and they happen to have a lot of different they don't have enough of a certain race of employees. Like, instead of the company saying, no, I'm only going to hire the white people, they actually have to then think about diversifying the workplace in a case where they are at the same qualifications.
Well, that I can understand, but I don't go for people hiring people just because they have to hit that. They have to hire minorities for a quota. Okay, I don't think
And
that's
again,
right.
And I think it's because it's presented in a way much like, say, the villain, the guy in the sunglasses, would have presented it, twisting the facts just enough to push like, that's right. Those people are evil. They should never get a job. They're not competent enough. Even if they have the same qualifications, they're not competent because of the color of their skin. Obviously, they're all criminals because there were like 2 or 3 murders in the paper, and those people who murdered them, they're of this race. So that must mean all of them are murderers and killers. That's obvious. Then it goes to, from there, man, I think we should go kill these people because we gotta survive. This is how it can progress, and that's how dangerous this line of thinking is.
It is very dangerous, and it's. I know what your profession is. I was a corrections officer, okay? And it came up somewhere in the movie about the ratio of things, and it's true. Being in corrections, the ratio of nationality is, you got 70 guys in the dorm. What do you think the ratio is? How many of each race do you think was in that dorm?
And again, where you're at. I mean, I can tell you right now, where I grew up, the incarcerated individuals that were in the jail were 95% white. Does that mean that, obviously those people committed most of the crimes? Maybe in that town because you know what the racial percentage was and where I grew up.
Right.
Again,
but a lot of things are. But see, unfortunately, a lot of things are based on that. There's, how many inmates out there, how many dorms, and at every dorm I went in, if there was 70 people in it, I hate to say it, maybe 20 of them were white, and that'd be on the high end. Out of 70.
And there's also more to it as well.
Yeah, there's a lot more to it.
A lot more nuances. I'm trying to simplify it for time, but yeah.
Just like my point about test scores being the only thing you would use, people tend to oversimplify, and oversimplification is something that the people like Cameron and Derek prey on. They prey on that binary thought process, the black and white, us versus them, that is the American way. There's people hate nuance. They hate shades of gray. Yes. They want easy. And that's what leads to people doing what Derek did,
Well, but a lot of the way that these people are thinking is they're basing it on things, like what I saw when I worked out there, and test scores and this and that and everything else, and they make the minorities look even worse, because they look at this,
Yeah.
Well, and again, it's exposure. I mean, I have for years seen children who have been in very troubled situations, Now, there was a time where I had to literally tell myself that no, 90% of all children are evil little creatures. Because, I mean, it's true, because I rarely see good children. So it's real easy to generalize and say, well, all children are bad. There's not a single good child out there. That's all a lie. The media is lying to you. They're all evil. That's a simplification of it. But a lot of times I would see that and I would just say, it's like, well, this must be the majority of kids out there. They're all misbehaving. They're all trying to stab their mothers for an Xbox. They're all trying to do these things because this is all I see. And I mean, a lot of circumstances when it comes to this, you've got a lot of people who are living in poverty, which is disproportionate racially. There's also the fact that if you have somebody who is white going before a judge or somebody black going before a judge, the white person is likely to get a lesser, if not a mitigated sentence for the exact same crime. You've got a lot of these factors that come into place. But we don't think about that. We just see the results of it. And it's not necessarily our fault that that's what we see. It's like in Star Wars, the dark side is a much easier path.
Right.
And then we look at the other psychology. And at the end of this, I can talk a little bit more about that. But you look at the thing, a lot of time these people prey upon somebody who is hurting. Somebody who is poor, somebody who is down and out on their luck, and they give them this thing saying, it's not your fault, because we don't want to believe it's our fault that we are in this. We don't want to look at our part of this. We want to be able to blame. We don't want to look at like society itself. We want to say we got to have somebody to blame for how our situation is. They give us not only somebody to blame, but if you follow us, we will help you get out of it.
Right.
And that's how, say, Jim Jones is born. That's how, I'm not going to mention who I would want to mention in this particular, but that's how a lot of the worst people in these cases, David Duke being one, was really good at doing this. Because you think about it, if you're hurting, you want some explanation as to why.
And that's how a lot of the gangs recruit people, because we'll treat you like family. We'll give you a family.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why the ending at first I hated it, but it did make me think. But I think to myself, how many people are actually going to sit down and think about this darned ending? But
Yeah.
But I guess we go on to I guess it's the party. Would that be right?
I think that's probably, or at least the start of it.
Because it's not, we don't get the whole of the situation until like right after the party, where we go to the argument and then the the famous scene that we got depicted.
Right. Yeah, we have I think there might be one or two breakups to the scene, but basically the party scene, after again telling Danny, stay home, and you don't want to come around tonight, and Danny agrees, but then his idiot friends show up. Yeah, he has his own Seth and Seth too, but they're, I guess collectively they're about half the size of Seth. And they come along like, hey, come with us. And he's like, okay.
3 of them together would make maybe one Seth.
Right. But and then we find out that apparently Danny has a little girlfriend there too, so that's probably part of the reason he wanted to go. But yeah.
I mean, and this is a gang too. It's a white gang. I mean, they even are saying they're a gang.
Right.
And I do like it. Like, of course, he gets escorted to their leader, to Cameron.
Well, before we really see Cameron show up, Well, I guess while Danny is going to talk to Kim, maybe that's it. Like Derek has his reunion with his girlfriend, and they have a good little heart to heart, where basically Derek's like, I missed you, I want to be with you, but come with me, and she's like, what are you talking about? And this is where we find out that she don't want to go nowhere.
Yeah, that is a
Yeah.
she was ready to go somewhere, but for a different reason.
Yeah.
Well, she wants the old Derek.
Yeah.
That's what she wants. That's not what he is anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting group. I mean, they had his brother like drinking out of the beer bong and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he goes and it's interesting how that guy is like the smooth operator with the sunglasses and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
And even he's like, no, I like that you grew your hair out. I was wondering when you would grow up out of that stuff.
Yeah. That's like, he kind of just lays it out there that he knows most of these guys are freaking morons, and but they look up to you, and I need you to,
They let him know he's out.
Yeah.
I mean, even punches him a few times.
Well, first he shoos Danny out of there, and Danny's like, no, man, I want to stay. He's like, there's a little girl looking for you, and Danny's like, well, I gotta go for that. As you do.
Let's see here.
Yeah.
Let me look in here. Okay. But yeah, it is interesting that he does that. It ends up with this gun thing at the end where a guy does pull a gun on him, and he just walks up to him calmly and then takes the gun from him essentially, and he gets out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was interesting, very intense. I thought they were going to get they had enemies on a lot of sides, but he gets his brother out of there, and they go, and his brother's not too happy that he basically pulls him out of there.
Right.
But that's when you really start to get the full story, where you have the argument where his mother was going out with the teacher, and he doesn't like that fact alone because the teacher is Jewish.
Right.
And she ends up basically saying, well, you're out. So the girlfriend's like, okay, well, after tonight, he can move in with me.
Well, she says he's out. It gets a lot more intense than that. It turns into a pretty nasty discussion.
He ends up putting hands on, but immediately feels really upset about the whole thing, that he let his own temper get that far out of control.
Yeah.
When he himself has been so controlled for so long.
Yeah. Well, he chases Murray out of there, just totally like, you get the hell out, But after the two of them have a heated back and forth, and the mother tries to step in and be like, calm down, let's just have dinner, and but Murray actually is like, no, we should let this go, and it ends up, Derek ends up laying it out there, and it's one of the parts where we get to see how hung up on these nasty views, where his family gets to see a full bore. But it's also, unfortunately, I've experienced, I think, being in arguments where I feel like he was flailing a bit. Like he wasn't even it wasn't as good an argument as the one he was making in front of the store, I think. Like Murray had him on the ropes in terms of the logic of the conversation.
Which turns him angrier, because a lot of times
it made him angrier, yeah.
When you're confronted with that, it's not usually, it's a total disillusion to who you are.
Yeah. And then of course, yeah, he did end up laying hands on his sister, which he did regret. But it pissed his mother off, and she was pissed off about what happened with Murray, and she was just like, I want you out of here. Like, she just, I want you gone. And it was yeah. And like you said, I think you said, yeah, the girlfriend's like, oh, it's fine, he'll move in with me.
And then it leads up to that scene
Yeah.
where we get to actually see what he did after that. Because he goes up to the guy who was already shot. He was pretty much given up.
Yeah.
And he makes him do that thing where he puts his jaw like right on the curb, and he does the curb stomp.
Yeah.
Which they don't show it, but they give a sound.
Yeah.
And then of course the police come and he gets charged with manslaughter. Which,
And you see, like, I always thought this was interesting. I don't know if y'all had the same take on it. It's like he just calmly puts the gun down and puts his hands behind his head and turns around, and he smiles at Danny. And like he's like, oh, it's fine. It's not till they put the cuffs on that it sinks in that, oh shit. You see that, or at least that was the way I always read it, that you see that look on his face where he realized shit just got real.
well, and even at that point, usually a lot of them will believe that they will be fine.
Yeah.
And then the justice actually does come.
Yeah. Although, does it really? I mean, a manslaughter charge for killing two people, that's kind of...
Oh, well, that's the typical of LA back in those times.
Yeah.
When you're talking that particular, this is another example of what I mean about why certain people are in jail longer than other people.
Yeah.
Because certain people, if they did the same thing, would be in jail a lot longer and would probably carry a higher charge.
Well, like the guy that he ends up doing the laundry with is in jail longer than he is for dropping a TV on a cop's foot, basically.
Yeah.
At least if you believe his story, but still.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Which I've seen enough that I would believe that story.
Yes. I do love the idea that he decided to rob a store next to a donut shop.
Yeah, he was like, that was my mistake. Because he looked as like, I did something stupid. That was there.
Well, he said it was embarrassing.
Yeah, it's embarrassing that he did.
Yeah. But that's getting a little bit ahead of us, I guess. But yeah, this is where Derek is just laying it all out to Danny. He's telling him what happened while he was away, and yeah, and he goes. It's a pretty lengthy. Yeah,
they pretty much go all the way into that. They don't get out of that until after.
Yeah,
it's been going back and forth for a long time, but it stops going back and forth at that point.
Right.
Because once you get past the prison scene, it's all in the present.
Right.
There is no back and forth anymore there because other than I think there's that brief flash about his father, and that's it. And I mean, he goes into jail. He hooks up to the with the white supremacist gang because I mean, obviously, you're going to do that. Gangs are how you survive.
Right. Yeah.
And,
so he ends up, as he said, he's like, I put up a flag to see if I could find a friend or something like that. And he ends up falling in with the white supremacist gang.
The Aryan Brotherhood.
Yeah. And, but he does, and going, at first he sticks to his guns, but he has a few things working at him. One being that he's stuck in the laundry with a very talkative and good-natured black dude.
My guy says, I'm the most powerful man in here because I'm the one in charge of your underwear. Under your doors.
Which is true, I can imagine. And then, of course, eventually he comes to realize that some of his new friends, they talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. And that kind of bothers him a lot.
And they're actually dealing with people outside of their race.
Yeah.
making deals.
And I think you or Dave mentioned that they eventually get tired of his preaching. And so it's like, so he's like a true believer dealing with people who are flexible. And it makes him question his own dedication, I guess.
Well, he actually talks to the guy at the laundry, and he actually finds out that they have a lot more in common than he would have thought.
Right.
And
not necessarily their opinion on the Celtics. They yeah. Which makes this even more timely since the Celtics just had their big run.
Oh yeah, true. Whenever I think about it, I think about that movie Celtic Pride with
I never did see that. Daniel Stern, wasn't it?
Yeah, Daniel Stern. I think they kidnapped Larry Bird or something. Or no, it wasn't Larry Bird. It was like gosh, who was it? Was it Charles Barkley? It was one of those players that was for the opposite team so they could score a point, something like that.
Couldn't tell you. Never saw it.
I have to watch that again eventually. I have it. But what do y'all think of Dave, Tammy? What do y'all think of this whole jail thing?
What do you mean? If that's how things really are?
Well, I mean, what did y'all think of these scenes about the relationships or how they were changing?
Well, I can see that. When he's put with the young black guy, in the laundry and stuff, at first he doesn't say anything. He just does what he's got to do. It just, lets him rattle on. And I think that he realizes that if it wasn't for their skin color, that he's just the guy that's in there doing his time too, and as far as the rest of it, he's seeing that not everybody seems to think the same way that he is thinking, or he thought when he came in there, but it's not as cut and dried as he's making it, as he's looking at it either. He's in a prison setting, so when he sees somebody of his group going and talking to somebody from another group, they're making some sort of a deal type of thing or whatever, and all this stuff. It was more of a way of everybody trying to survive it there than what he's thinking of it as.
Right.
Oh yeah. It's more like two countries talking with each other diplomatically than anything else.
Right, but he's not looking at it that way. Not at first,
Right.
First, he's looking at it as, you're going outside of our, our thing. You're communicating with them.
You're dealing with the enemy, basically.
Right.
Yeah. And that was one of the things I say, was like him kind of having to rethink just how important it is to, hold true to your beliefs and whatnot, Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Dave? What do you think?
You there, Dave? Well, I think he's buggered off.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm saying, what do you think of the whole prison thing there?
Well, I think that the whole prison thing. You mean the incident where he gets right?
Well, I mean, all the stuff that proceeds up to that point.
Yeah, I don't think we got there yet.
Well, I think everything that whole flashbacks is scene is definitely more of a coming off that whole mindset that he had been built up to being, you know. And when he got thrown in with that the colored young man, um I think it was a great dynamic because he was a loud-spoken individual,
Mhm.
and he himself, he was like a quiet, serious individual, you know.
Mhm.
So I think he needed someone to get him off of that mindset, and someone to actually be there to be likable,
Right.
in order to have him bond with someone of his ilk. You know, it took him a couple of, I guess you would say, sessions with doing the whole underwear bit, and he literally told him, "Hey, don't fuck with me, because I'm the one in charge of your underwear."
Right.
I thought that was a great introduction. I'm the
Yeah.
most powerful man here.
Well, and also the scene, and I think the screen cap that I put up, I think might actually be from this scene. The part where where he really cracks through Derek's exterior is the scene where like Derek is pounding sheets, like he is just whipping them around, just being really angry, and and the guy's like, I ain't never been angry at sheets like that, except, and that's where he goes into his impression of the KKK, and I can't say the things he says here on this channel, but they are hilarious to hear him say this. And Derek finally cracks a smile and finally is like, yeah, okay. He
go back to not talking about anything to one another. It's like,
yeah. That's
I like when he goes into the girlfriend thing. That's funny because that's when Derek really laughs.
That's a little bit later, but yeah.
Right.
And I think a lot of that, because he has so much frustration because a lot of his own beliefs are being broken down. And this is a part of really deprogramming in a lot of ways, if you think about it, is when you are seeing before your eyes and you are forced. Because a lot of people, and I listen to a lot of these debates online because they're entertaining to listen to, but a lot of people's first reaction when they're confronted with something that is factual, that they cannot prove against, that goes against their fundamental beliefs of something like that.
Well, especially since once he learned exactly what he was in for.
And anger is usually the very first thing that they get defensive with.
Yeah.
And then they run away because they can't do anything about it. Or they lash out. But he couldn't do either of those things. So he was forced to actually sit there and see it for what it is. Much like, say Clockwork Orange with the eyes held wide open. Then it gets compounded again with him apparently associating too much with people of other races and leads to your favorite shower scene.
And if I'm remembering correctly, though, he gets the visit from his mother shortly before that, right?
Yeah.
And so he gets a visit from her where she tells him that Danny is becoming like him. And then, he gets that shower scene. And then he gets a visit from Sweeney, who doubles down on the Danny is becoming like you. And that's just like a triple whammy that really, he's not feeling good.
He truly breaks down.
Yeah. And I think this is where Sweeney, either here or shortly after, Sweeney puts a very simple, deceptively simple question to him, but a good one. And he says, has anything you've done made things better?
Mhm.
You know, very simple question, but it really does make Derek think. You know,
And that is a good question.
True.
And he shuts off from basically all sides.
Mhm.
And I mean, the guy's like, look, man, you can't just walk away from them like that. You're going to be jumped. He's like, I don't care. You know, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. But I'm done with it.
Mhm.
And he's like, and surprisingly, I keep looking behind, waiting for that day where they're going to jump me, and nothing happens.
Mhm.
Of course, we kind of find out on the way out that maybe that guy, maybe the guy did have a lot of toe in the prison after all.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe he wasn't just blowing smoke. But yeah, we did have that discussion. We kind of touched on it, but after the two of them finally start to get along, that's where we do have the, you know, what you in for? Oh, it's embarrassing. And Derek's like, everyone in here is embarrassed. They all get caught, you know. But yeah, it is kind of hilarious. I stole a TV. Well, that's not embarrassing. I stole a TV next to a donut shop. And when I walked out, I walked right into 3 cops. He's like, but you don't get, was it 6 years? I think it was 6 years he got.
Yeah, 6 years.
6 years for stealing a TV. I dropped it on his foot. They said I threw it at him. So yeah.
He didn't quite do that, but yeah.
You're pulling my string here. You had to have thrown it at him. Come on.
He kind of leaves that ambiguous, like, that's my story.
It's possible, but at the same time, his story is possible to be true too.
Yeah. And either way, again, kind of back to the previous point, if it had been Derek, he wouldn't have gotten 6 years.
I have had police officers charge people with assault on a law enforcement officer for walking by them too fast.
Walking by too fast?
Yeah, because they could feel the breeze from walking by.
Wow.
You can legally charge with assault on an officer. You can charge for assault on an officer for breathing on somebody.
That's insane.
You can be charged for attacking an officer just by looking at them,
and it is a felony. Now, 9 times out of 10, those charges never stick.
Yeah,
but I see people get charged with it all the time.
Okay.
And again, so. Would it surprise me if it happened that way? No, it would not.
Yeah,
because that officer would probably be very mad that he got his foot broken.
Right.
And who is he mad at? The one person. And as we say, racial profiling does exist, so it would not be hard to make those charges stick on a person of color.
Besides, they don't say it in the movie. What's that?
I wasn't surprised either when he said that that's why he got charged the way he did, because you know, it's like the things you were just mentioning, you know, it's unfortunate that that's how things have been, you know, too.
No, it is also possible that he did throw that TV at the officer.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
it is possible that he did, but I'm not surprised that he was accused of it just because it fell at his foot. And if that's really what happened, you know.
They don't mention it, but I'm willing to wager that the real reason the cop was pissed, he probably dropped his donut and coffee. So,
like I say, I do like that they made it ambiguous for us, just us to think about that in our minds. Like, well, he could have. You may not.
And the ambiguity about whether this guy really did watch out for Derek and keep him safe.
But that's a bit of a stronger wink, though.
Yeah, it was a little bit. And
Because
we should mention
somebody
that
was looking out for him, because otherwise he would have been jumped.
now we should mention during this time as well. We already know because Sweeney called Derek as soon as he got out of prison, and we find out later. There's another scene where we find out that Derek and Sweeney have a correspondence ongoing, and he does mention that he's been getting reading material, books, and whatever, that they, and so it definitely shows that Derek has been spending his last year or whatever in prison, few months, genuinely making an effort to better himself, and and Sweeney is helping him do it. So, it's good to mention that, I guess.
Sweeney had also let it be known, like he was in that exact same position.
Yeah.
That he hated people for just the fact that, obviously it wasn't me that got into this decision. It wasn't my decisions. It wasn't this. It was this other. And the anger that he had.
And the experiences that he had experienced,
Right.
Which is why he does so much for Danny, because he doesn't want Danny to go that way.
Right.
And you actually see, because Sweeney was his teacher in school, when you see the scene with his father, it's kind of a funny interaction where the father's like, yes, I do read books. I don't think they teach Tom Clancy in the
right.
stuff. I mean, he goes on his racist rant, but and then but of course, even then he says, like, look, yeah, you read it, but you don't let that stuff get in your head,
Right.
Now, there is something that the father said that I think you should do. You should question everything that you read.
Oh yeah, you should question everything.
But the racial comments and the other stuff that came after were not needed.
Well, and this is also where we find out, like, until this interaction, you kind of get the impression that Derek didn't even really think about race. Like, that wasn't even really a thing on his own. Like, he actually kind of liked Sweeney and admired him a little bit. And then his father had to jump in and kind of poison the well. And you do know from early on that whatever flaws his father might have had, we already mentioned it's a very close-knit family. They loved their father. And when he died, it did impact them intensely. Derek probably felt it worse because he was the oldest, but
you could tell the brother was actually observing what was going on too.
Yeah.
But but of course, to continue the story, I mean, he does finish his paper. He gets it printed out, and they go, and he's going to walk him over there while he goes to his probation. He's going to go get his job back while they're in this coffee shop. And every single time you see these people scoping out their house. So to me, it feels like they're just setting up a drive-by. That's inevitable. Because in my opinion, my thought was that they were just going to both die. Or I was thinking that that Daryl was going to die. Not Daryl, Derek.
You just want to call him Daryl.
You really want to,
yeah.
Well, they really do kind of leave it. And I don't remember, to be honest. It's been so long. I don't remember what I was expecting to happen.
Well, I mean, you even see stuff that's set up like it's going to go on longer because they want him to go undercover in the group and try and do something. He doesn't want to do that because he just wants to go, but they're just like, you're going to need to. You need to jump in.
Well,
I thought for sure, there was going to, the way things were going and the way camera was and the things that they were showing and stuff.
Mhm.
I thought for sure that there was going to be like a drive-by or something, you
Yeah.
know, that they were going to both get it or something like that, you know.
But
Or
it makes sense that that Derek wouldn't necessarily fall for that because it's just like you said. When I'm in prison, I've been always having, and that is true. When someone like that gets out of prison, their eyes are always everywhere. So it's a lot harder to catch somebody like that unawares, because they're already expecting to be jumped or to be attacked.
Right.
well, he told Danny if he gets home before him, just kind of check things out,
Right.
see if anybody's
Well-
hanging around or anybody's looking at the house or whatever. You know, he told him that.
Well, so just to back up though, because we have that scene in the diner where Sweeney shows up with the cop, and they and Sweeney, tells Danny, "Hey, you got something for me?" He's like, "Oh, I'll give it to you. I got it." But then they take Derek aside and tell him that someone jumped Seth and Cameron and beat the crap out of them, and they're in intensive care. And that, I think, is where they asked Derek, we need your help? And Derek's like, these people, no, you weren't there yesterday. They don't want to see me now. It's like they would not want to talk to me. It's like, because he did burn those bridges, which good on him. I don't know if Sweeney was expecting that to happen so quickly. But and one thing I understand about the movie is that apparently one of the earlier versions had Seth and Cameron dying. And I don't know how that would have affected the end of the film. I think it might actually be more effective the way it played out. But I'm curious where they would have gone with that. But yeah.
And you see, and then the end of it, basically, they have the kid who was the bully kid ends up going to the bathroom, pulling a gun, and shooting Danny, killing him.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that, you go in there and you think to yourself, man, they've done all this stuff only to be killed by somebody because of race. And you think to yourself, well, this is just going to start the whole cycle over again, because it's just going to teach them that, well, yeah, because you can't trust them because of their race.
And apparently that was also an earlier version of the story. And apparently this was one of the things where Edward Norton insisted on no. Like there was like a thought that they would show him shaving his head again at the end of the movie. And apparently he was like, no, we're not going down that road. And it makes me wonder if that's why Tony Kaye hates the movie so much. But I'm glad they didn't do that.
Oh, no. I mean, I think I understand why that ending could work, because it's, again, perpetuating the cycle.
Right.
But you think about it, and I had to think on that for a while.
Yeah.
Because you think, so like, why did the kid pull the gun in the first place? Was it because the kid wanted to kill him? I don't think that was the case. I think it's the same stuff, that kid could have been Danny.
Yeah. I think, they were kind of almost mirrors of each other, and Danny had someone pull him out of the fire in time, but this other kid had people egging him on. And
I mean, it's much like Seth and that other guy in the basketball. I think they were mirrors of each other. They both wanted to fight.
Yeah.
But they had other people on their team saying, no, we ain't handling that way.
Yeah.
And that's, again, it just goes to show a lot of times we are far more alike than we are different. And I think that really is the end that we should take out of all of this, is that we are far more alike, positive and negative, than we are different. And that goes for all. I mean, indoctrination is not just a one-way street. And I'll say something because I've been kind of hard on one particular side for a long time, and I should be hard on the other side too. when you're sitting there and you're indoctrinated, you're talking about anybody who thinks any way different, who watches a person who is different than you, likes a different, like, whatever. Well, you have to shun them because they are evil. They can't be your friends. They can't be good people. And I've seen plenty of people who say that they have actually started into the right wing because they were constantly told, well, because you like this author, you should go die, go kill yourself, da 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 da. Pardon that, but this is late YouTube, so whatever. And of course, these other people on the right, they're friendly, they're willing to accept them, they're willing to help them, so they get indoctrinated that way. They get taken in by that way. There's got to be some level of understanding people are human, that we can't think like some monogamous blob. And that's of all things. That's about as much as I'm willing to give on that side. But at least I can say that, yes, there are some horrible people that have been on the left that have made these things happen. Now, to say that they are only on the left, which is what many people on the right are then taught to believe, that's wrong too, because I've had just as many people on the right say those exact same things. Because again, it's that indoctrination. They're the other. They're not human beings. They can't possibly have anything in common with you. They're all evil.
Which actually, to your point, I think there may be people. This movie has always had a bit of controversy about it, and a lot of it is behind the scenes stuff, which we'll get more into when we do the production. But a lot of it is also, it is a movie that if someone comes to it at a certain angle, they could misread it. And I think there probably are people that on the left, there probably are people that think that this glorifies this kind of mentality, and kind of miss the overarching messages that I think get hammered home by the end. And then you have people on the right who probably also think it glorifies that mentality and miss the basically, if you miss the end of the movie, you might get the wrong impression about it.
That's why I say the ending of the movie only really works if you sit and you think on it.
Yeah. And I will admit that ending is a gut punch. It is it's a sucker punch. And it is set up well. It is set up and executed in a way that it makes sense on repeat viewing. But the first time you see it, you're like, holy fuck, they went there.
Yeah, that is.
I was not expecting that ending at all. Not at all.
Actually, come to think of it, both Dave and Tammy, you both watched it your first time too. So Tammy, you said you did not expect that ending. How about you, Dave? Did you expect that as the end?
I was expecting Edward Norton's character to Derek to get killed.
I thought something was going to happen to Derek also.
So one who's used to movies that are predictable, this one was not.
Right.
And I get that there are some people out there who think that a predictable movie is the worst kind of movie out there. But I'm one of those who even if a movie is predictable, if it's good and predictable, I don't mind that a movie is predictable.
Right.
Just so long as it's good,
Yeah. Sometimes you know exactly where a movie is going, but as long as you're having fun going there,
Well, yeah, I don't let it piss me off that, oh my God, I fucking knew it was going to happen. That this movie fucking sucks,
Well, I mean, there was one movie I watched a very recent time. I'm not going to say what movie because that one's also a movie of controversy, but I thought that they were going to kill an animal in the movie. And I was like, if they go this way, I understand every drop of hate this movie gets. But, you know, it's...
what you mean.
But sometimes the predictable ending doesn't always happen that way.
Right.
And sometimes, but, you know, to me in an artistic film, if it's a very clever film, it can be predictable and still be good. But when a movie can really surprise me, it can be very impressive. Especially after you've watched enough movies, you start to be able to predict how they're going to be. Hollywood loves to use the same formula over and over again.
Right.
So, yeah,
Which is okay. Which is okay.
Well, any other thoughts before we go into production value? Because there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and we've been going on for a while, and I am beat.
Okay.
All right. Well,
maybe I was the one on the curb.
Let's go into production then.
Okay.
Well, you had a lot with production, Jake. Why don't you lead us off?
Well, for one thing, we might as well start with the elephant in the room, which is that this was the directorial debut, feature directorial debut of Tony Kaye. Apparently, he's done a lot of music videos, and I think he did a few other things here and there.
One hell of a place to start.
What's that?
One hell of a place to start.
Right. Well, basically, I think, honestly, knowing that, I feel like I can see that in this movie. Oh, he directed the video for Soul Asylum's Runaway Train. I know I've seen that one. Couple of Roger Waters films, couple of, yeah. So basically, there's a lot of symbolism in the movie. And one thing that I'm going to admit, I didn't really pick up on this myself, but I read about it and it makes sense to me. So the most of the flashbacks are black and white, and most of the present day scenes are in color. And supposedly that was to symbolize how Derek saw everything in black and white. And then when he learned to see things in color again, then he was able to move forward, and they kind of split the movie up that way. And I'm like, that's a really cool concept. And one thing that we should give Tony Kaye credit for is that he was also the DP in this film. He was also the cinematographer. So that was probably his call to do that. So, you know, good on him. But of course, the infamous elephant in the room is that he has always disowned this movie. He has always claimed it's an unfinished hack job that was stolen from him by Edward Norton. Apparently, Edward Furlong takes some of the blame in his book too. But supposedly Norton got into the editing booth and mucked with the print. And I don't know how much of that is true and how much is not. I don't know if anyone will ever know. But this is definitely probably the origin of Norton's reputation. Which, again, there are people who will defend his acting style. There are people who see him as a committed artist, and there are people who see him as a prima donna who takes charge and, you know, and he lampooned that reputation beautifully in Birdman. But, which I gotta say, my personal view is any actor who has the self-awareness to completely make fun of themselves, I give them props for that. You know what I mean? So I don't know if we'll ever know what Tony Kaye wanted to see done with this movie. he apparently produced a documentary called Humpty Dumpty that never saw the light of day. So maybe when this film gets its Criterion release, that could be a bonus feature. But,
Maybe.
it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting. But anyway, so yeah, that's a little bit on the background. But and personally, I think the movie looks pretty good. The use of black and white and color, I think, is pretty cool. And now that I know about the symbolism part of it, I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, that's what I have to say on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I thought the production was pretty darn good. I mean, you have the brutality moments that were mostly done in black and white. I actually like a lot of films that are somewhat done in black and white. So I'm kind of glad that that he had that quality put to and I honestly didn't notice how, you know, how he used the black and white and the color moments like you described, but I'm sure seeing this movie again, I'll probably notice it the next time that I watch this, if there is a time in the future that I actually revisit this, because I do not own the movie as of yet. So
it's a hard movie to revisit, but
actually,
not too expensive to get.
One other thing, I guess this could go into production because it's more thematic. I meant to mention it before, but I'm curious what everyone thinks about this idea. Because the movie, one of the major themes to it is the theme of redemption. The idea of that someone can truly become penitent and turn their life around. And there will be some who would argue that a neo-Nazi leader should not be allowed that opportunity. And there might be some that would argue that it's all the more powerful because it was a person who had been such a terrible person. But what are y'all's thoughts on that? Like, do you think that it's that having a redemption style arc for Derek? Well, what are y'all's thoughts on that? I think it's interesting that he gets such a solid arc, but you know,
I think it's good to be able to have redemption. One of the things you read about sometimes about these people, like these people who are like clan leaders and so on, and they make friends with this one person of color, and it changes their entire viewpoint. And it changes it doesn't change fundamentally who they are, because at their base, there was still good in them. It was the fact that they were able to bring that good out. And I think that's something that is missed by a lot of people. That's one thing I don't like about prejudgment that happens a lot. Sayings like, well, if you did one thing that was bad, even if it was 20 years ago, you're always going to be bad. You can't change.
Right.
And that's a mindset that happens very widely in a lot of belief spectrums. And it's a bad mindset. It's a mindset that gets you closed off.
Well, it's a mindset that leads to the kind of mindset that these people had. You know?
I mean,
the mindset that people have, especially for a murderer, is that they're a piece of shit and they should go away for life. You know,
I wouldn't actually say, especially toward a murderer. I would argue that there are certain crimes people get much more touchy about than murder.
Yeah,
but yeah, the idea that anyway. So yeah, your thoughts, Dave?
you take a life. You're a piece of shit for the rest of your life. You know, that's the closed off mindset that this person is beyond redemption. They showed no remorse in the trial. Fuck them. You know,
Mhm.
that's the closed door, closed mind concept of many people
Mhm.
For many different crimes. Okay,
Mhm.
and that's unfortunate because there are some people who are able to change their life around
Mhm.
and show remorse,
Mhm.
you know, and that's the other side of the criminal that most people don't understand.
Mhm.
It's not that I am a crusader that will step in and say this man is changed, you know. But um, I do recognize that there is a possibility that once a man or a woman or a thing goes into the prison system, sometimes they are able to be redeemed. You
Makes you
know,
wonder if our society would be better if our system was based more on actual on a,
being able to
yeah,
redeem yourself instead of
rehabilitation, I guess the word, instead
Right.
of punishment.
Right.
Which you see that in
I
a lot of countries, and it is fairly successful.
I can see this to a point, but I'm sorry. As far as pedophiles go, no, no redemption, no rehabilitation. You touch a kid, that's it.
and if I remember correctly, there's an unwritten code in prison for pedos. Uh,
I
they're
don't
not thought
believe in
of.
I don't believe in redemption, and I don't believe in rehabilitation when it comes to that,
Hmm.
and I never will.
Hmm.
I I believe in the death penalty to an extent.
Well, it's hard
Uh,
to rehabilitate someone who's dead.
Well,
uh,
no, reanimator.
I
but
believe in the death penalty to an extent too. I mean, when if it's totally completely cut and dried, there is no way, no how, no that this guy did not do it. Goodbye. Okay. I mean, like here we had in Wisconsin, we had Dahmer. Oh man, I wish we would have had the death penalty because I did not want to pay for that idiot for the rest of his life.
Mhm.
Okay, when it is totally cut and dried like that, yes, I do believe in the death penalty. Okay, you know, if there is even the slightest little that something could be wrong in this conviction or whatever, okay, you have to do it to the full extent to find out if there is any possibility, okay? But when there is no possibility that this is wrong and he really did kill all them people, goodbye.
Yeah, it does always suck when they execute a guy, then they find out like 10 years later, oh wait, it wasn't him. Oops.
That's
Yeah.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
When there is no ifs, ands, or buts, you know,
Yeah.
fine.
I mean, as far as uh, Derek, ha,
Mhm.
I got his name right.
Yeah.
You know,
finally,
redemption is an interesting thought. Like, can he be rehabilitated? And the answer appears to be yes. Then we have to think to yourself, well, what is the end game of the rehabilitation? Well, if you think about somebody like Derek, he has the ability to change the minds of others because
Yeah.
if he's gone through it, then he can actually go through it to help other people
Right.
or to bring other people to that change.
Right.
which helps a lot of people. So it all depends on what they can do with that. I mean, it's like what he says, like, is what you're doing in your life, what has that gotten you?
Right. And you can tell that Sweeney's pushing for him to kind of take that route.
And I believe that. Go ahead. I was going to say
he
that.
seems more notable.
I was going to say what Brandon just said was also said to Derek's brother.
Mm-hmm.
So, but continue with what you were saying, Dick. Sorry about the
Well, I was going to say it's clear that Sweeney's pushing for him to take that route. Derek himself has doubts about it, but it feels like if things had not gone the way they did with Danny, you get the feeling that he would have absolutely done that. The movie really does leave it open-ended question of what will happen now. It's very dark clouds hanging over the end of the film, and it's hard to say where it can go.
That's true.
But,
well, we know what Tony Kaye wanted, but supposedly Norton fucked with the editing.
And again, that could really mess with the ending's meaning too, because then neo-Nazis could actually start looking at that movie as a positive thing, and it's like, yep, this movie shows that our way is right, and that going against that way led only to the other person's killing us. Right. There is no redemption, and he saw that. That's the thing. I mean, people like that could theoretically see that and see it like that now with that ending, but I think that it would be a lot easier to see it with that if they went with the original idea for the ending.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, it took me a minute to think that through.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that what the power this movie has is being able to truly put yourself in their shoes.
Mm-hmm.
See that these people that you would normally look and say these are irredeemable, horrible people, are not what they seem. They're not these cartoon villains.
We should mention, I don't think we have yet, this movie has a rating of number 43 on IMDb's top 250. It is a movie that people hold in high regard.
Except for Seth. Seth and Cameron are cartoon villains.
Yeah.
We got a fearless leader and his hapless minion.
Well, here's another interesting thing about production. We talked a little bit about Edward Norton and to a degree the others, but like some of the people in the cast, Edward Furlong is half Mexican. Fairuza Balk is Jewish. They definitely were playing characters that would hate them. And Ethan Suplee supposedly really, really was not comfortable with his character. I think one of the reasons he went so cartoonish might have been, I don't think he would have been able to play that character in nuanced, because it probably would have bothered him. So at least from what I've understand of his thoughts on it. So
let's hit music and then send this puppy home.
Yeah. So there is some music.
Yeah.
Composed by Ann Dudley. Yeah.
I guess the question I always look for when it comes to music is, A, does the music do its job?
Yeah, the music does its job.
So we've already checked that off. Now let's see if we can go any farther than that.
Well, we also have a couple of very disturbing renditions of certain songs. We've got a version of the Battle Hymn of the Republic that's not PC, to put it mildly.
I was going to say, are there songs that stick out in the film that that you feel like you would remember long past the film?
Not necessarily in a good way.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't say it in a good way. I just say it.
Yeah.
And then 3, which would be the ultimate test, would be does it not just have those 2 qualities, but does it have the quality that you would want to go out and get the soundtrack for yourself because it's that awesome that it could stand on its own. I don't think it meets that quality to me.
I would not buy the soundtrack, no. But did it match the film? I think it did.
Yeah, I think it did its job. I don't really feel it goes beyond that because even the little ditties like that, I'll remember it for a short time, but it's not going to stick in my mind for a long time. I'm not going to hear, I'm not going to hear the Battle Hymn of the Republic and automatically think those lyrics in 5 years. I would be a disturbed individual if I did. But it's not going to be like, say, I'm going around. If I hear the theme from E.T., I know exactly what's going on from that, and I'll keep going. I'll be like, yeah, it's like, yeah, I know exactly what that's from. Or the Harry Potter theme. You just hear a little bit. I was like, I know what that's from.
Harry Potter had a lot of similarities with Home Alone. You might confuse the two depending on which part you hear. But the main themes, yes, you would recognize it.
So that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
So though I do think that there are some songs here that I feel like are memorable in the short term, I feel like they will wipe themselves out of my head eventually, probably by the end of the week.
Right.
So. But do any of y'all have anything like, be like the spectacular that you felt like the music deserved?
No, because I wasn't really listening to the music, and I didn't even realize the Battle Hymn of the Republic was there. So,
well, in a way. But yeah, I don't know. I look at this thing and I think to myself, yeah, this. I mean, really, the way it goes low. In my opinion, a low end of a soundtrack is a soundtrack that sticks out in a bad way. And there are movies that have soundtracks that are like, this clashes with what's going on. This doesn't fit at all. I mean, Supergirl is a movie that actually has been accused of this as well, for one particular scene.
The original?
Yeah. I have I'm kind of in the middle about what I think about that song. But I do agree with Debbie that they did not need to use a cover.
Well, the original song that they wanted to do was a cover of "Girls Just Want to Have Fun" in that scene. That's what the director wanted, but James Gunn shut that down.
Okay.
But again, I guess we'll never know. Actually, I bet you there's going to be a director's cut. That's how they always do with these movies. There'll be a director's cut.
And I will say there is also one other thing that can be a sin for a soundtrack, and that's if it sounds like it was cobbled together by committee. Like if it doesn't sound like there was any real artistic effort put into it at all, which I have heard soundtracks like that.
So, but I don't think this movie did either of those.
No, this one it fit.
Because if it did do either of those, we would definitely be talking about the soundtrack in those minutes. Yeah. Because all of us would be like, God, why did they do that? Why during the party scene where they're doing the electric guitars, why were they playing Vivaldi in the background?
Right. or like, let's say if they had used "Girls Just Want to Have Fun" in this movie.
Oh wait, during the curb stomping scene.
That would have been a little bit off.
It would have been memorable.
Let's slow the song down and make it a metal song. And
oh my gosh. That's actually going to be stuck in my head for a while, thinking about that whole murder scene where he's killing those 2 people and doing the curb stomp with the girls just want to have fun in the background. Oh, boy.
But that would be an example of a bad soundtrack choice.
Yeah.
But a memorable.
Uh,
Oh boy, I got to
see how demented we are.
I might do that. I might have to do that. Put that together just because. It's like,
You have delusions of grandeur.
All right.
shouldn't have asked if he could. If he should have asked if he should have. We did it. All right. So let's end this with a couple of.
All right. Favorite scenes and their favorite characters. And that is not. It does not include your fantasy.
So why don't we change that a little bit, because I hate saying favorite characters.
Yeah.
What would you say character that stuck out the most to you instead of favorite character? Favorite scene, favorite character that stuck out, a character that stuck out to you the most, and why not say another film that might have hit you in this way? I guess you could say, or a film that may have actually changed your beliefs in the slightest. Well, we'll start with you, Jake.
Okay. If I would say favorite scenes, maybe the scene, at least maybe a couple of the scenes between Derek and Lamont in the laundry. I think that the scene where Lamont does his KKK impression and it cracks through Derek's armor a little bit. And then, some of the later scenes where they're kind of actually starting to joke around and whatever. I like those scenes, and the scene where Derek's getting out and he thanks Lamont for looking out for him, and I like that sequence of events, and I think that probably would work if I had to say. And I do like the moment where Sweeney does pose that question of like, has anything you done made your life better? Like, I thought that was a really good, really good moment there. And I have to say, Derek is probably the most notable character in the movie. I like Lamont and I like Sweeney. I could genuinely say I like those characters, but I would say in the movie really is centered on Danny and Derek. It really is. They are the protagonists, and they do both have pretty solid character arcs. But I feel like Derek's is probably the bigger one of the two. I would say in terms of
handle the truth.
What's that?
They can't handle the truth.
Yes. Now, and the other one you said was like a movie that similarly.
I mean, like kind of a had let's just say had you think deeply.
Had me think deep thoughts, huh?
Or at least to the level that this did, because this one does have. I think everybody had to think a little bit deeply for this.
Yeah. No. There were I mean, I've seen a few such movies, and I definitely appreciate them when I do. And I know we've covered a few on this channel that might qualify for that. But what would I have if I had to pick one? I'm not sure which one I would pick the most, but one that has some similarities in some ways to this one that came out at the same, it came out 2 years before this. But Dead Man Walking is one that kind of comes to mind that has some similarities, and that definitely did have an impact. You mentioned one of them earlier. Downfall was one that definitely made me think. Dogtown or Dogville, sorry. I'm sure I'll think of one. Like probably eventually, maybe right after we sign off, I'll be like, "Oh, I should have said that one." But
Yeah.
I don't know. If I think of one, I'll let you know. But yeah, I think I'll go with that for now.
Okay. Well, Dave.
Okay. I would have to say the first time that he met Lamont, and he said, "Don't fuck with me, because I'm the one that deals with your underwear."
Right.
And at any of the meetings that he had with Lamont from then on, I thought their relationship was detrimental to the rehabilitation of and
Detrimental?
yes, I would say I would say so, because if them two hadn't gotten together, he would not have like gotten to liking any person of color, and kind of deprogramming some of his beliefs, so
So detrimental to him continuing his belief structure.
well, into breaking down his belief structure,
Okay.
basically. But let's see, favorite character, or one that stood out to me the most. I would have to say say the three that you mentioned. I mean, you got Sweeney on the one hand, he was interesting. Lamont and Derek for sure. Derek mainly, but the other two are definitely ones that stand out. But you said a movie that might have changed my mind, or
Either changed your mind or made you think deeply at any time.
Dead Poets Society.
Okay.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's a good one. That's a good deep thinking movie.
Yep.
Oh,
What
Captain
Dreams May Come.
Mhm.
These are ones that made me think deeply,
Okay.
All right. Well, Tammy.
Well, let's see. I guess Derek would be the character. It's just once you see everything, and you see what he went through in prison, and then you see when he how he's thinking now that he's out and everything, and just going through his whole thought process and everything is just, I think it's just very intense, and I just I think there's a lot that has to do with him as a character. Um, as far as movies that make you think, well, the one that I was talking about earlier, Redemption, if you've ever had a chance to see that one's kind of on the same similar lines as this. It's based on a true story.
It's a good thing to think about. Good. So we all give
And
people. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
so it definitely, Jamie Foxx plays a character who's on death row, that he was the founder of the Crips. And while he's sitting there on death row, he sits there, he thinks about everything and realizes this is not good, and he starts, you know, he's trying to make a difference so that people don't follow the same path he did. You know, it is a really good movie, and like I said, there's a lot of similarities between the two. So I was actually thinking about that one when we were watching this one.
No. Favorite scene? Well, I mean, I can't say the curb stomping scene because everybody has at this point. But let's see. I did like the whole party scene. I liked where he actually punched the dude out. In my opinion, that's great.
Yeah, that was a good scene.
You don't usually see somebody punch somebody like, say, Jim Jones type cult leader out. That's great.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, Seth actually stood out to me more than anything else. That's why I kept thinking Derek, because I had somebody somewhere I knew that had something like that name. That reminded me of Seth. But as far as actually character, I guess Danny really. I mean, I think that Edward Furlong, who I think has really always been underappreciated for what he could do, acting wise, and he did a great job playing that character.
Mm-hmm.
As far as ones that made me think, well, the one that obviously comes to mind is The Pest with John Leguizamo. Obviously, this movie made me think and changed my mind on bad film. No, in seriousness, like one we've covered before, actually, that had me thinking pretty hard was Spike Lee's "Do the Right Thing."
Yeah,
that one really, and that was a good discussion, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And we got, and if you think about it, we had some minds that we were working on changing during that episode too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a good episode. If you have not seen it, you should.
Am I remembering this correctly? Because it's been a minute. Was that the same year I put forward Ride with the Devil? Because I feel that was another one that had me thinking quite deeply when I saw it. But yeah, Do the Right Thing. I agree with that one.
I'm sure that I think everybody here was here for that one.
I think so.
Were you there? Were you here for Do the Right Thing, Tammy? I don't remember.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think so.
Mel and Kim on that one.
Yeah, it was a tough one.
Yeah.
But one that definitely left me thinking a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, we get another Spike Lee joint next week.
Yes, we do. So one question, Jacob, that I want you to make sure that you have at the end of your discussion for us is for us to say if American History X and Malcolm X are a good pairing.
Okay.
Because, hey, we've been leading up to this for a long time. We should darn well discuss whether it's a good pairing by the time we get to the end.
Well, we'll find out, won't we?
We will.
Hey, at least we didn't have to watch them back to back. We get about a week between.
And we can hopefully start closer to 9, and I won't be late here that time.
Yeah.
So that'll be better. All right. Oh, Dave, lead us out.
All righty. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming along with us on this fantabulous journey that we've been having so far, where we have been covering some difficult film territory here. But hopefully you enjoyed our discussion on this film, and if you have not seen it, like some of us think everyone should have seen it by now, but obviously there are some people out there who have not.
3 of the 4 of us.
But I guess it'll go down in history that Drawn Our Dark has now seen American History X. So, that being said, share and subscribe, and we'll definitely have some interesting territory next week with Malcolm X. So come join us for that. And I know we have 2 other films after that.
Yep.
And then we'll begin another month. So, that being said, everyone, say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, all.